The 1906 San Francisco earthquake, which struck at 5:12 a.m. on April 18, 1906, is one of the most devastating natural disasters in U.S. history. The earthquake, which had an estimated magnitude of 7.9, ruptured along the San Andreas Fault and caused widespread damage throughout Northern California. In San Francisco, the destruction was severe. Buildings crumbled, roads split open, and fires broke out across the city due to broken gas lines. With no functioning water mains, firefighters were unable to control the flames, which ravaged the city for days. The fires, which burned for more than 3 days, caused as much if not more destruction than the earthquake itself. Some 500 city blocks were reduced to ash, including key areas like Chinatown and the financial district. In the chaos, law enforcement and city officials struggled to maintain order, and martial law was declared in some areas. The economic impact was also staggering, with damages estimated at around $400 million, approximately $10.5 billion today. Many businesses and homes were lost, pushing a quarter of the city's population, about 250,000 people, into temporary shelters in parks, on beaches, and other open spaces. The earthquake reshaped the city both physically and socially. Reconstruction efforts began almost immediately, with an emphasis on rebuilding San Francisco as a modern metropolis. The disaster also brought about changes in building codes and earthquake-resistant architecture, setting a precedent for other earthquake-prone areas around the world. Moreover, it highlighted the necessity for urban planning and emergency preparedness, leading to the eventual establishment of the California Seismic Safety Commission. The earthquake spurred the city to rethink its infrastructure, from transportation networks to water systems, to ensure it could withstand future disasters. In the broader context, the 1906 San Francisco earthquake reshaped the United States' approach to disaster response and urban planning. It also prompted advancements in seismology, as scientists studied the fault lines and tremors in an effort to understand how such catastrophic events could be better predicted and mitigated. The 1906 San Francisco earthquake remains a powerful example of how a natural disaster can permanently alter the trajectory of a city and its inhabitants, reshaping its identity and future. While technically a man-made disaster, the Chernobyl nuclear accident on April 26, 1986, in Soviet Ukraine is often included among the most devastating events in history due to its long-term environmental and health impacts. A safety test gone wrong caused reactor number 4 at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant to explode, releasing massive amounts of radioactive material into the atmosphere. The initial explosion killed 2 workers, but the real toll came in the days, months, and years that followed. Radiation spread across Europe, with the worst-hit areas being in Ukraine, Belarus, and Russia. 30 plant workers and emergency responders died within a few weeks from acute radiation sickness. But the disaster's true scale became apparent over time. It's estimated that hundreds of thousands of people were exposed to dangerous levels of radiation. In addition to the immediate health risks, thousands of subsequent deaths have been linked to radiation-induced cancers, especially thyroid cancer, as well as other illnesses caused by the exposure. An estimated 350,000 people were permanently displaced from the surrounding areas, leaving entire towns like Pripyat frozen in time as ghost cities. The environmental damage was equally severe, as radiation contaminated large swathes of land and forests, rendering them uninhabitable for centuries. The Chernobyl exclusion zone, a 30-kilometer radius around the plant, remains largely off-limits, though wildlife has surprisingly returned and flourished in some areas, offering a strange twist to the catastrophe. Studies continue to assess the long-term impact on ecosystems and human health, and Chernobyl serves as a stark reminder of the risks of nuclear power when safety measures fail. The disaster also exposed deep flaws in Soviet management, communication, and crisis response, influencing policy and regulation around nuclear energy worldwide. Additionally, it spurred a global reevaluation of nuclear safety protocols, leading to more stringent international standards for nuclear plants. The disaster's psychological impact also cannot be overlooked. For decades, those affected by the event, including evacuees, first responders, and nearby residents, suffered from trauma, anxiety, and other mental health conditions. Many have felt stigmatized by their association with the disaster, which created long-lasting social and psychological scars. Furthermore, the secrecy and initial denial by Soviet authorities eroded public trust in government institutions, adding to the deep political consequences that emerged in the wake of the catastrophe. The legacy of Chernobyl continues to reverberate globally, shaping nuclear policy, environmental awareness, and the way we perceive technological risks in an increasingly interconnected world. The 1931 China floods remain one of the deadliest natural disasters in history, with an estimated death toll ranging from 1 to 4 million people. Over the course of several months, a combination of extreme weather events, including severe snowmelt, prolonged heavy rainfall, and a series of powerful cyclones, caused the Yangtze, Yellow, and Huai rivers to overflow. Vast regions of central China were submerged, with approximately 88,000 square kilometers of land underwater. The disaster went far beyond immediate drowning. It destroyed farmland and food supplies, leading to a crippling famine. Millions were left homeless, and with clean water sources contaminated, waterborne diseases like cholera, dysentery, and typhoid fever spread rapidly, exacerbating the crisis. The floods affected an estimated 25 million people directly, displacing entire villages and leaving entire regions without access to basic necessities. As crops were washed away, food shortages spread across rural and urban areas alike, leading to widespread starvation. The country's weak infrastructure, including limited transportation options, further hampered relief efforts. Additionally, civil unrest and banditry rose as people desperately fought for resources. The Chinese nationalist government, already dealing with political turmoil and instability, struggled to provide effective relief, compounding the suffering. This catastrophe had long-lasting impacts on China, from its devastated infrastructure to the social and political upheaval that followed in its wake, significantly weakening the government's authority in affected regions. On December 26, 2004, one of the most powerful earthquakes ever recorded, a 9.1 magnitude quake, struck off the coast of Sumatra, Indonesia, triggering a tsunami that devastated coastal regions across 14 countries. Within hours, towering waves reached Indonesia, Thailand, Sri Lanka, India, the Maldives, and even the east coast of Africa. The tsunami killed more than 230,000 people, displaced millions, and caused widespread destruction of property. Entire towns were erased, with water sweeping away homes, infrastructure, and lives in a matter of minutes. The scale of the destruction was unimaginable, with some areas losing up to 80% of their population. In Indonesia's Aceh province, the worst affected region, 170,000 people lost their lives. In Sri Lanka, trains were swept off tracks, and entire communities were wiped out. The disaster also crippled economies, as fishing, agriculture, and tourism, critical industries for the affected countries, were severely damaged. Thailand's once thriving resorts along the coast were reduced to rubble, and the Maldives' pristine beaches were ravaged. Entire villages in India were wiped out, leaving countless people homeless. The international response was swift, with governments, NGOs, and volunteers mobilizing from across the globe. More than $14 billion in aid was pledged, and countless humanitarian missions were launched to assist the survivors. Despite these efforts, many areas, particularly in Indonesia, faced years of recovery. Thousands of survivors had to rebuild their lives from scratch, living in temporary shelters for extended periods. In response to the disaster, significant investments were made to establish a tsunami warning system in the Indian Ocean, with the aim of preventing future tragedies on such a devastating scale. This disaster left a profound mark on the global consciousness, highlighting both the vulnerability of coastal communities and the importance of international cooperation in disaster preparedness and response. It also served as a stark reminder of the destructive power of nature and the human toll such disasters can take. The eruption of Mount Tambora in 1815, located on the island of Sumbawa in Indonesia, remains the most powerful volcanic eruption in recorded history. It sent an estimated 36 cubic miles of debris into the atmosphere, causing immediate devastation across the island. But the global impact was far more significant. Around 10,000 people were killed directly by the eruption and pyroclastic flows, but the real death toll would rise in the following years. The ash cloud spread around the globe, significantly reducing sunlight and causing what came to be known as the Year Without a Summer in 1816. This volcanic winter led to failed crops, food shortages, and widespread famine in Europe and North America, where temperatures plummeted unusually low during the summer months. In Switzerland, the conditions were so severe that they contributed to the creation of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, written while she was trapped indoors by the weather. The eruption also caused climate anomalies as far as China, where disrupted monsoon patterns led to widespread flooding and droughts. The global death toll, including from starvation and disease, is estimated to be around 100,000, though the indirect impact was far greater. Beyond the immediate destruction, the eruption had profound economic and cultural consequences. Across Europe, numerous families saw their livelihoods disappear as crops were destroyed, and entire communities were compelled to move in search of better prospects. This wave of migration put added strain on local economies, particularly in agricultural areas. Additionally, the eruption's influence on global climate spurred scientific discussions about the connection between volcanic activity and weather patterns, paving the way for future studies in geology and meteorology. The Mount Tambora eruption serves as a stark reminder of how interconnected our planet is, and how a single event in one part of the world can have catastrophic consequences worldwide, altering not just local landscapes, but the course of global history. The 1556 Shaanxi Earthquake, or Jiajing Earthquake, is the deadliest in recorded history. On January 23, 1556, it struck China's Shaanxi province, devastating a 520-mile area. With an estimated magnitude of 8.0, the earthquake leveled mountains, rerouted rivers, and opened massive fissures. The region's population, largely living in yaodongs, cave dwellings carved into soft, low soil, was particularly vulnerable. When the quake hit, these structures collapsed, burying tens of thousands. The death toll is estimated at over 830,000, with entire communities wiped out. Aftershocks continued for months, worsening the destruction. Survivors faced disease, famine, and economic collapse as they struggled to rebuild. Though China has seen many quakes, none match the Shaanxi earthquake's immense loss of life, making it a grim testament to the power of nature. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into history's most devastating natural disasters, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment with your thoughts or suggestions for future topics.